Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 978 of our daily content streak here. I would like to spend today describing my experience at the 40th anniversary Transformers Theater event. So we talked about this previously on some news roundups, etc., and I gave you a quick preview of how weird the first 4 episodes are, but now kind of get into the nuts and bolts of exactly how the experience went down, at least for me. So this was the Friday showing. Well, no, hang on. It's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. I've had a long day. It's been the craziest day in this toy shop I've had in a long, long time. You will excuse me. I went to the Wednesday night showing. So if you missed out, or if you haven't decided if you're going to go or not, Saturday and Sunday are ahead of you. They're gonna be doing it there. Check your local times, etc., etc. But I want to let you know how it went, at least for me. And I want to start you off before we get into anything of this so far. First off, let me just describe. I did have a really good time. Being able to see my childhood cartoon blown up to the largest screen I could possibly watch it on was kind of awesome. So on one hand, yes, super cool. Never got to see that before. I will admit, it's still the same 4 episodes I've seen literally 100 times. So it does get a little bit hard to pay attention. But it's a really cool spectacle. It's really cool to be able to just see on such a scale, all right? So, with all that said, I'm going to describe all the little things about it. So this might vary from theater to theater, but I want you to know the kind of experience I had before. So before we really talk about what happened during this experience, I do want you to focus on, I want you to start off the way I started off, which is the pre-rolls. And I don't mean the stuff that was before, like all the advertisements the theater puts out. This is everything after the theater's little logo crawl. If you're at a Regal Cinema, the little roller coaster thing where you go through the popcorn and all that. So after that ended, we got a trailer for some Disney movies that didn't come out because of the pandemic. So now all of them are hitting the theaters in succession. We got a trailer for Despicable Me 4, which I totally forgot was a thing that was actually going to happen. We got a trailer for The Wild Robot, which actually looks amazing. It's like Wall-E was done by Studio Ghibli. I'm super, super curious about that one. We got the trailer for Transformers 1, but it was slightly abbreviated versus the version that was actually shown online. Then we got a trailer for a movie called Robot Dreams, which didn't really look like my thing, but I know a lot of people charmed by it. We also got a trailer for Inside Out 2. We then got an ad for all the new current Transformers, hosted by BMAC here. Just like, here's a whole bunch of products that we're putting out. We also got an ad for RoboSend Transformers. We also got an ad for EarthSpark Transformer toys. We also got an ad for Transformers The Ride 3D at Universal Studios. We also got an ad for the Skybound Transformers comic books and the Energon universe as a whole. We also got an ad for the Transformers vinyls that were just released for order. We also got an ad for Hasbro Pulse, the website itself, along with a discount coupon. Okay, that was kind of nice. We also got an ad for the Beyblades that are coming out. We also got an ad for the Amazon Transformers shop. And then we got an ad for Transformers 1 again, but this time the trailer was even more abbreviated. I acknowledge that the original Transformers cartoon was a 22-minute toy commercial. Albeit a well-written and well-voiced toy commercial, it was still made to sell action figures. I acknowledge that. So it's not surprising that it would be preceded by a bunch of ads for said Transformer figures. But this was 20 minutes. This was 20 minutes of previews that took my life away, and I can't get it back. I am at a fan event tailor-made for hardcore Transformer fans who actually want to see their childhood on the big screen. And you showed me 20 minutes of ads, most of which were for every aspect of sellable Transformer merchandise that in existence right now, before showing me 4 episodes of my childhood Transformer ad. It was so over the top. It was so ridiculously over the top. Like, who are you marketing to that doesn't know all this stuff is coming out? Maybe the Beyblade. Maybe you don't know the Beyblade's coming out. But I'm pretty sure everyone in the theater knows that Transformers 1 is going to be a thing because the poster was on the wall outside. Getting a wee bit tilted here. This was frustrating. This was weird. This was weird. Okay, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on to the first bit of content we got. We're gonna move on to the first content we got. We got the preview of season 2 of EarthSpark. Before anything else blows me up. It's a nice preview. It wasn't the trailer that's been around the internet lately. It actually was just like 2 minutes worth of an episode. You couldn't get a whole lot. You got the overall idea that they are regathering the shards of the Ember Stone, which is not a plot I really wanted them to go with because it feels very Season 2 Transformers Prime or animated, and I really wanted them to avoid that because they're doing such a good job of doing new things with the franchise. I really didn't want them to just go back to normal standard stuff. We're going shard hunting and the Decepticons are villains again. We're going to standard stuff. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. Beyond that, the fight scene's cool. It's a chase scene between various Autobots, Terrans, as well as they were being chased down by the Seekers, who are trying to gather. Starscream wants the Ember Shard for himself. And then what's this? I'm trying to think if there's a noteworthy thing. Trying to think if there's a noteworthy thing about it. They did show Megatron with a Decepticon logo, even though he's still with the good guys. That's kind of odd. Mo had a growth spurt. Mo had a growth spurt, so that was actually kind of cool. So we can actually tell that a year has gone by. It does lead to some interesting change-ups in EarthSpark. So there was that. That was kind of nice after all the mess and weirdness that came before. And my theater didn't even have the bucket. I didn't have the bucket in the cup. What kind of event doesn't have the bucket and the cup available? I could have gotten, like, the Kung Fu Panda 4 bucket and toys. Okay, fine, that was there. I could have gotten the Dune popcorn bucket. Not that bucket. The boring bucket. Head out of the gutter. In general, my theater experience was... Okay, the event itself, like actually going to watch it, that's cool. The event itself, incredibly lackluster. Like I said, the souvenir cup and bucket was not available. I know you can buy it online, but that's not the same. At that point, it's just a printed bucket. It's not a souvenir of the event. But they didn't do anything special. Like, I'm kind of spoiled by hearing my friend Carl's experience because he was at the VIP version in Australia. The one where you got to actually see 86 Bumblebee the day after it was revealed. That event, the event where he got free posters for one and this Transformers event, where he got to take home the cardboard standees that were up. Hello? On top of just like encouraging people to bring in their own stuff, their favorite memorabilia, and you had people bringing in like HasLab Unicrons and that craziness. And they made it feel like a real event. This just kind of felt like, I don't know. It almost felt like it was a nuisance to the people working at this theater, because it wasn't like actual movies. It's just like, okay, yeah, your theater is off to the side. There's no like little table or anything with the posters or any like celebratory thing that the theater should put out for a fan event like this. It was just, there it is. Go watch, nerds. Didn't really get to hang out with anybody. I was hoping to show up early and just kind of like sit around or like loiter within the arcade games and just kind of like meet people, but no, nothing like that. They didn't have anything arranged for that. You just kind of like, just go watch it. So that part of the experience was lackluster. Okay, let's get into the actual content. Let me tell you how the actual thing went. You'll excuse me if I don't have many visual examples, because I can't record in a movie theater and stay out of jail. So you'll excuse me if I just kind of like go over the notes that I took, because I took a lot of notes on this one. So first up was the table read, and what I didn't realize about the table read was it wasn't just us just watching the characters be voiced on screen. They were actually redubbing episode 1, which I thought was kind of cool. So they re-edited episode 1. Because I don't think the original I don't think the original masters exist that would have allowed them to take out the actual dub, the actual ADR. I think what they did was they edited in all the new like clean music that's now available on vinyl, and added the sound effects back in, so they had a clean vocal track. Whatever it was a really cool thing for them to do. There's a few lines where they couldn't replace it, so every now and then, even though they had someone else voicing Jazz here at the event, they did, every now and then you hear like Jazz's voice peek through, or Soundwave with the vocoder was still in. Hearing Soundwave without a vocoder from Frank for this, by the way, super weird. So they did a little bit of interview with the cast too, just to kind of introduce the audience to all the voice actors who are there. They did get a bunch of surviving members, like, obviously Peter and Frank are still around, and Dan, the voice of Bumblebee, is still there. They did pull in Paul, his name escapes me right now, it's making me bad. I'm a fake fan, I can't remember his name offhand, but the voice of Prowl, you can see him on the left there, he's still there. And then they got in some, more contemporary, somewhat younger voice actors to fill in. Frank Totoro was there, who does a great job. He's like one of the better voice casts in both the Machinima and the Netflix Transformer series. Hearing his voice over Starscream is actually kind of cool. It's actually really cool. So he does a really good job, and it actually does fit. He's the closest I've ever heard to Chris Latta. See, I'm just reading through notes here, so you'll excuse me. Also, his facial expressions are priceless, because he looks like the mustache twirling villain. Also, he was wearing Decepticon pins upside down on his lapel. Brilliant touch for Starscream. Yeah, I was going to mention, like, Paul Eiding was there too, filling in for Ratchet and Cliffjumper, which admittedly, Greg Berger was there. He did Cliffjumper. Eiding was Hound, which he did an okay job as Hound. He also did Ratchet and Thundercracker as well, which his voice really isn't deep enough to convey those characters. But it's nice that they got another veteran actor back in there. I mean, obviously there's other G1 actors who are still alive, but a lot of them are at an age where either they can't travel or they can't perform anymore, so it's understandable that they get who was available. I'm glad they kept it within cast, and still had people, like even the substitutes they brought in, have history with the franchise. So that was all cool. So here's the thing. So the first episode was done like this. It was done framed so you could watch the episode, but also so you could actually see the actual voice actors at the table read at the same time, which I thought was a really cool thing for them to do. My biggest laugh to myself this entire time was the fact that this is a Twitch layout. This is a streamer layout if I ever saw it. Like, it really is. Like, if Frank had a chat room and like a GamerSupps ad underneath him, this would just look like it was on Twitch. And no, you don't even have to imagine it. I did it for you. There you go. It's just it's a stream overlay. I want to make it myself so I can use it as a stream overlay. I want to crop all this out so I can use it for streams. But that got a laugh out of me. Just the way they decided to work it. But it worked though. It worked though to see the show and the table read at the same time. All the 3 episodes after that were the way you see here. Just, standard 4x3 as big as the screen would allow, and then little borders on the sides that look like Teletran 1. All right, so that all makes sense. you can see like like when you're watching it back to back on the big screen, you can see the jump in, you can see like the drop in quality from episode 3 to episode 4 when they went from this is going to be a TV special budget to this is going to be after school cartoon budget. Also, especially once we get to episode 4, 40-year-old animation looks super crunchy on a big screen. I'm just going to put that out there. These were not made to be seen at this size. So, let's see here. They also had a blooper reel. I want to say, like, afterwards, they actually had a blooper reel, which is really cool. Really cool. And they all had, like, a post-interview with some of the VAs as well, just, like, just their thoughts of being part of this, especially, like, the others who aren't part of the G1 cast who were invited to actually do this. That, you know, that's a big deal for them, to be able to sit in for something that, in animation, is kind of legendary. And just hearing the original voices redoing the lines as they are now is weird. You know, you can hear the age in Peter's voice and in the way Frank delivers Megatron, but they still sound really good. And it still matches the show, you know, except for when they're talking faster than the character is animating, but they can't help that. All right, so I'm just going to, I'm going to leave it on this screen for a while, and I'm just going to go over some notes that I happen to take along with this. Let's see. So, yeah, so, let's see. Totoro. Secondary reminds me of streamer layout, hiding its hound. There was a rare flub from Frank. Frank, I guess the editor or whoever was doing the directing for this table read also didn't catch it. At one time, he described energy resources, energon tubes, which doesn't seem like something you should get wrong after 40 years, but Frank's up there in age, and this was probably rushed. This is probably like not a, this is probably a very quick thing for how many VAs they had to get at one time. So I'm not going to harp on it too madly. I did want to make mention that this is the newer release. This is the Shout Factory release this was based on. So the Rhino sound effects you hear if you try to watch Transformers on the unofficial YouTube channels, those aren't there. Thank you. I did make one note of, like, it would have been hilarious, since they were redubbing it, if they actually changed Hauler to Grapple and actually made that canonical in some weird way. That, I think, would have been really funny. Greg Berger did the voice of Spike. And Greg Berger's Spike sounded so hilariously dorky. Like, voice cracking just hit puberty dorky. It's way different. Way different. Let's see. There's a few other notes. That I had here. There's not a whole lot to talk about. It's the 4 episodes, you know? I'm mostly talking about my takeaways and experiences. So, between episodes, they did fast forward through the credits. Not the music, that would have been hilarious. But they did fast forward the credits to cut the runtime down as much as possible, which is not a bad call, and just keep it from being repetitive. I understand why they can't just have one credit sequence for all 3 or 4 episodes, because different VAs are credited on different episodes, so okay, that makes sense. Let's see. So I will give you a warning, especially in episode 4, the audio can get really shrill over the theater speakers. So that one, I had my ears hurt a little bit sometimes. So that's just a fair warning to you if you haven't gone yet. They showed a PSA at the end. You know, it's such a G.I. Joe cliche thing. Like, so many people know it as the G.I. Joe thing, but Transformers also had the PSAs at the end for knowing is half the battle. They had them for season 2, and they aired the one for Bumblebee, which was about don't run away from home. Transformers only did like 4 or 5 of them. They really didn't go nearly as far as like G.I. Joe did. You know, like there's some of those shows like G.I. Joe and He-Man where it's like, you start off with like, don't play with matches, don't talk to strangers, you know, that kind of stuff. And then by the time you get to like episode 80 and you still have to come up with PSAs, it's like, don't eat rocks. Half the battle. So there was that. That was a great touch to add it to the end, though. At the very end, last thing, Last thing they showed, and I thought this was great. And don't tell anyone I took a photo of this. Just let me be, because this is really sweet and touching. They had a memoriam for the voice actors from those episodes who are no longer with us, which I thought was a great touch. I thought that was a very beautiful way of finishing it off as like a final note on this. I don't even think they ran credits for the people who were involved with the table read. Aside from the ones who all introduced themselves earlier, I don't even think the people, like the casting or anything like that was, or like the production crew was credited. But they put this credit in. And I really love that they did that. So that's basically my experience. My theater sucked, but everything else was a lot of fun. It's fantasy come true, right? So if you haven't gone to see it, I would recommend. It's the same 4 episodes, so no surprises. Hey, think of it this way. You can buy the large soda at the concession stand, and you don't have to worry about missing a good plot point when you get back, right? Because you've seen it all. You've seen it all. So that was my experience. Yeah, if you went on Wednesday, let me know how it was for you. And then, or if you haven't, come back Saturday or Sunday, and then let me know how it was. So, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.